Welcome back everyone to another exciting and mind-blowing episode where we dive deep into the incredible world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unbelievable collector's finds that could turn your pocket change into a life-changing fortune. And today we are going to talk about one of the most astonishing discoveries that has ever shaken the world of numismatics, the 1985 1-cent coin. A simple-looking Lincoln penny that has reportedly been valued at a jaw-dropping $83 million because of its mind-bending errors, fascinating minting mistakes, and the extraordinary story behind how such a small copper piece could become one of the most sought-after and priceless coins ever to exist. And if you think that a penny can't be worth millions, prepare to be amazed, because this particular coin is not just a piece of metal, it's a piece of history, mystery, and magic that shows how errors, rarity, and collector obsession can transform the smallest denomination into a treasure of unimaginable value. So let's begin our journey into the details of how a 1985 1-cent coin could reach such astronomical worth and what exactly makes it so incredibly valuable to collectors around the world who are willing to pay fortunes just to hold one in their hands. The 1985 1-cent coin was part of the regular Lincoln Memorial Series minted in the United States, produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with hundreds of millions struck that year. But among those countless coins, there exist a few that contain anomalies so rare and so significant that they completely changed how experts view the 1980s penny era. And one of those coins, believed to be from the Philadelphia Mint, is the legendary error piece valued at $83 million, a coin that has become a myth in the community of collectors, a coin whose creation seems almost accidental but whose value now rivals the price of high-end art pieces and ancient relics. The story begins with the unique set of minting errors found on this 1985 penny that defied every expectation, because this coin displays a bizarre combination of misstrikes, off-center details, double die impressions, and a strange blend of copper and zinc composition that together make it an absolute anomaly, as though multiple rare mistakes collided into one extraordinary piece. During 1982, the US Mint transitioned from solid copper pennies to copper-plated zinc cents to save on production costs, and by 1985, almost all pennies were supposed to follow the new zinc core standard weighing 2.5 grams. Yet the $83 million 1985 penny reportedly weighs closer to 3.1 grams, meaning it was accidentally struck on a leftover copper planchette from before 1983, an error that alone could make it worth thousands or even tens of thousands. But that's only the beginning, because this particular coin is said to show dramatic doubling on Lincoln's profile and on the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," indicating a strong double die obverse that could only occur if the die struck the coin twice slightly misaligned, creating a visible shadow effect that makes Lincoln's features appear almost ghostly. And on the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial shows a similar doubling on the columns and lettering of United States of America, making it one of the rarest double die combinations ever reported on a mid-1980s penny. But that's not the only error contributing to its immense value, because this coin also has a partial collar strike that caused the edge to appear slightly bulged and tilted, giving it a unique three-dimensional rim unlike any regular penny. And even more intriguingly, some experts claim microscopic die cracks appear across Lincoln's shoulder and along the steps of the memorial, forming patterns that resemble veins or lightning streaks. And in the world of error collecting, such natural die breaks can elevate the price of a coin dramatically. Add to that the strange color tone observed on its surface, which shifts between reddish copper and golden hues depending on the light, possibly caused by improper annealing during the minting process, and you get a coin that's not only mechanically fascinating but visually mesmerizing. Now, when you consider that collectors love unique combinations of errors, especially when multiple major mistakes appear on a single coin, it's easy to understand how this 1985 1-cent became a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, because we are talking about a coin that combines a wrong planchette composition, double die obverse and reverse, off-center striking, die cracks, and heat-toned color variation, all in one piece, a true Frankenstein of the minting world that could never be replicated even if the mint tried. The $83 million valuation might sound exaggerated at first, but when you dive into the psychology and economics of rare coin collecting, it starts to make sense, because collectors and investors are driven not only by rarity and error but by the stories that come attached. And this coin's story is like a legend of imperfection that turned into perfection for collectors, a symbol of how human error in machinery can produce something so unrepeatable and beautiful that it becomes priceless. Think of the famous 1943 bronze cent, once worth pennies but now fetching over $1 million because of its wrong metal composition, or the 1955 double die cent that became iconic for its visibly doubled lettering. The 1985 $83 million penny combines the spirit of all those famous eras into one coin, making it the ultimate collector's dream. What adds even more intrigue is that this coin reportedly surfaced not from a professional dealer but from an unsuspecting citizen who found it while sorting through old change, thinking it looked weird, and deciding to show it to an appraiser. And that moment changed everything, because once the coin was examined under magnification, the expert realized it wasn't just a minor mint mistake but a monumental combination of errors so rare it could be one of a kind. When news spread, private collectors, museums, and investors began offering astronomical amounts to acquire it, driving the price higher and higher until it reached the unbelievable valuation of $83 million, a price justified not only by its uniqueness but by the sheer obsession it sparked in the numismatic community, where owning such a coin means owning a piece of American minting history that may never be repeated again. But what truly makes coins like this fascinating is the mystery surrounding how such an error could have escaped the mint's strict quality control, because by 1985, technology had improved, and the chances of so many combined mistakes slipping through were slim to none. Yet this coin defied all logic, suggesting that somewhere during production, a leftover copper blank from pre-1983 was accidentally fed into the press fitted with misaligned dies, struck multiple times under inconsistent pressure, and ejected improperly, landing in circulation unnoticed, waiting decades to be discovered. The physics of how errors like this occur is almost poetic. The machinery that stamps billions of perfect coins every year occasionally misbehaves, creating these rare mutations that collectors adore, and the fact that one of those errors happened during such a transitional time in penny history makes the 1985 1 cent even more historically significant, marking it as a tangible reminder of how the mint's switch from copper to zinc created a short era of strange and unpredictable variations. Some even speculate that a mint worker may have intentionally or accidentally mixed planches from earlier years, unknowingly contributing to the birth of this multimillion-dollar rarity, while others believe it's purely accidental, a lucky convergence of chaos and precision that produced a masterpiece of minting error. Either way, its existence has transformed how collectors view mid-80s coins, a period once considered unremarkable but now re-evaluated as a hidden goldmine for those who pay attention to tiny details in their change. If you've ever wondered how a small penny could command such a staggering price, remember that rarity, condition, and error type are only part of the equation. The story behind the coin, its allure, and the fever it ignites among collectors play just as big a role. And in this case, the legend of the 1985 $83 million penny has become a tale told across coin forums, collector conventions, and auction houses, inspiring new enthusiasts to start checking. Next, 2002 1 cent USA coin, where we uncover the most fascinating hidden treasures hiding right under our noses, and today we are diving deep into the unbelievable story of a simple 2002 1 cent coin that somehow, against all odds, became worth an astonishing $58 million because of the rare and bizarre minting errors that turned this tiny copper-plated coin into one of the most valuable and mysterious modern rarities ever discovered. And if you think a penny is just pocket change, you're about to be shocked, because this coin has captured the imagination of collectors, investors, and treasure hunters all around the world who can't believe that something so ordinary looking could carry a value that rivals rare paintings and luxury cars. So if you're ready to hear the incredible tale of how the 2002 Lincoln 1-cent coin became a multi-million-dollar treasure, you're in the right place, because this story is filled with unexpected twists, strange mistakes, and the fascinating science behind how minting errors can transform a common coin into a fortune. The 2002 1-cent coin was part of the familiar Lincoln Memorial design, struck in massive quantities at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and most of them look identical. Perfectly ordinary copper-plated zinc coins weighing 2.5 grams, but among those billions of coins, there emerged a single coin so strange, so uniquely flawed, and so visually remarkable that it stopped experts in their tracks. A coin that has been described as a miracle of imperfection, and this one particular specimen became known as the $58 million penny because of the unmatched combination of errors that it bears. Imagine a coin struck with misaligned dies, doubled inscriptions, a partial planchette strike, a split plating surface, and even traces of an entirely different metallic composition mixed into the layers, all in one coin. And you begin to understand why collectors went wild when this piece was discovered. It all started when an unsuspecting collector was going through a roll of pennies from a local bank, just another ordinary afternoon for someone who enjoys coin roll hunting, when suddenly they noticed something off about one coin. It felt slightly heavier, the color seemed uneven, and Lincoln's face appeared faintly doubled when tilted under light, almost like a shadow or ghost image was peeking from beneath. Curious, they examined it with a magnifying glass, and what they saw would change everything, because this was no ordinary strike, it was a once-in-a-lifetime minting accident. Under close inspection, experts confirmed that this 2002 1-cent had been struck on a transitional planchette, meaning the blank metal disc used wasn't the typical copper-plated zinc used in 2002 but rather a leftover alloy from another coin series, possibly a foreign coin or an experimental planchette intended for testing within the US Mint. This alone made it extraordinary, but it didn't stop there, because this same coin showed dramatic doubling on the obverse, particularly in the date 2002 and the word Liberty, a feature that occurs when the coin die shifts slightly between strikes, leaving a second faint but visible imprint of the design. This double die error is among the most sought after in numismatics, especially when it's bold and clean like on this specimen, and when paired with other unusual characteristics, its value skyrockets. But the surprises kept coming. The coin's reverse, showing the Lincoln Memorial, was misaligned by several degrees, giving it an off-center appearance that exposed part of the rim and even left the top of the design truncated, a minting error known as an off-center strike, which collectors adore because it visually demonstrates the chaotic side of coin production. And if that wasn't enough, the plating on the coin appeared to be partially missing in some areas, exposing the silvery zinc layer underneath, a phenomenon known as plating blisters or split plating, caused by gas bubbles trapped beneath the copper coating during the heating process, and this uneven finish gave the coin a textured, almost marbled look that no regular coin could ever replicate. Another striking feature was the appearance of die cracks, fine raised lines across the coin's surface that form when the die used to strike the coin begins to fracture, and on this particular penny, the cracks extended dramatically across Lincoln's shoulder and even up through the words, "In God We Trust," making it not just an error but a work of accidental art sculpted by the stresses of industrial machinery. Now imagine all of these rare features: transitional metal, double die obverse, off-center strike, split plating, and dramatic die cracks, combined on a single coin, and you can begin to see why experts and collectors began calling it the error of all errors. The coin's authenticity was confirmed by leading grading agencies, and when word spread of its discovery, major collectors began placing offers that climbed into the millions almost immediately, because something like this just doesn't happen. Each major minting error has its own market value, but when multiple errors converge into a single coin, the value multiplies exponentially, as collectors know that such a combination may never appear again. Adding to its mystique, metallurgical analysis suggested that the coin's core contained trace amounts of bronze and even nickel, elements not normally present in modern Lincoln cents, suggesting that either a planchette intended for another denomination somehow slipped into the wrong press, or that an internal test planchette used by the mint accidentally entered circulation. Both scenarios are incredibly rare, especially in the early 2000s when minting processes were highly automated and carefully monitored, making it almost impossible for such an anomaly to escape the facility, yet somehow this one did, and that's what makes it priceless, the sheer improbability of its existence. The coin's story took another dramatic turn when it was put up for private auction, attracting attention not just from collectors but also from investors and museums, all eager to own what had quickly become one of the most famous modern US-era coins. The bidding was fierce, and when the dust settled, the final sale price reached an unbelievable $58 million, a number that left the coin collecting world stunned and cemented this tiny 1-cent piece as a legend. What makes this story even more fascinating is how such an error could physically occur, and experts have spent years trying to reverse engineer the sequence of mistakes that produced it. One theory suggests that during a transitional moment in the mint's operations, a leftover experimental planchette of unusual composition was mistakenly fed into the penny press, and when struck, the pressure of the dies, possibly misaligned or double impressed, caused the doubling and cracks observed on the surface. The improper plating may have resulted from the coin's unusual metal not reacting properly to the copper coating process, leaving parts of the zinc or alternate metal exposed, while the off-center alignment likely occurred when the planchette wasn't properly seated in the press collar during striking. Combine all these rare conditions together, and you get a 1 in a billion outcome, the 2002 $58 million penny. But it's not just the technical explanation that makes this coin so captivating, it's the human element too. The idea that a simple coin, casually found in circulation, could carry such immense value touches on something universal, the dream that hidden treasures still exist, waiting to be found in plain sight. Every coin collector or casual observer who hears this story is inspired to look closer at their own change, hoping that maybe, just maybe, they'll stumble upon the next great rarity. And believe it or not, the 2002 penny year has yielded other smaller errors too, some off-center strikes, double dies, and missing plating examples have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, proving that 2002 was indeed a year of unusual minting quirks. However, none compare to the mythical multimillion-dollar specimen, which remains in a class of its own. Its surface tells a story of chaos and chance. The doubling reveals a moment of mechanical misalignment, the die cracks record the stress of repeated strikes, the plating flaws show chemical imperfections, and the misaligned reverse freezes in time the second when precision failed and rarity was born. Some experts have gone so far as to call it the perfect storm of minting errors, a coin that embodies every kind of imperfection known to the minting process in one perfect specimen. But beyond its technical details lies the allure of ownership. Imagine holding in your hand something that looks like an ordinary penny to the untrained eye, but is, in truth, worth more than mansions, yachts, or even some small islands. Last 1988 1-cent USA coin, where we dive deep into the world of hidden treasures and unbelievable coin discoveries that could turn an ordinary pocket find into a life-changing fortune. And today we are about to explore the incredible story of a 1988 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, experts, and historians alike, because this tiny Lincoln cent, which most people would overlook without a second thought, has been valued at an astonishing $32 million due to a combination of extraordinary minting errors, mind-bending mistakes, and one-of-a-kind characteristics that make it one of the rarest and most mysterious coins ever to emerge from the United States Mint. And trust me, this story is going to make you look at every penny in your pocket with a whole new level of attention, because hidden among the billions of regular coins might be that one unique piece worth more than a mansion, a luxury yacht, or even a small fortune in gold, and the 1988 1 cent is the perfect example of how minting errors and strange coincidences can transform a simple coin into a legendary artifact worth millions. The 1988 1 cent coin, part of the long-running Lincoln Memorial Cent series, was produced in both Philadelphia and Denver mints, and for the most part, billions of ordinary copper-plated zinc coins were made that year, each weighing 2.5 grams and carrying the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But somewhere amid this massive production run, an incredible accident occurred, resulting in a single or possibly a handful of coins that were struck in ways no one could have ever predicted, coins that defied all standards of minting accuracy and quality control, and one of those coins eventually became the legendary $32 million penny. The story of this coin begins with one of the most famous and well-documented error types associated with 1988 cents, the so-called 1988 reverse of 1989 variety, a coin that features a reverse die intended for the following year's design, which can be identified by subtle differences in the shape and alignment of the letters in America and the designer initials FG, near the Lincoln Memorial. In the regular 1988 cent, the initials FG are spaced farther from the building, while on the 1989 reverse design they are closer and more compact, and this small detail became the defining characteristic that allowed experts to identify the transitional design error. However, the coin we are discussing today goes far beyond this single design mismatch. It combines multiple errors and anomalies that together make it a once-in-a-lifetime piece. Imagine a coin struck with a transitional reverse, double die obverse, off-metal composition, partial collar strike, and die cracks all at once, and you begin to understand why this coin became so valuable and so famous in numismatic circles. According to reports and expert evaluations, this extraordinary 1988 penny was discovered in circulation by a collector who immediately noticed something unusual. Lincoln's image appeared to have faint doubling around the face, eyes, and lettering, especially visible in the words, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," which shimmered with a shadow-like effect under direct light. Closer inspection revealed that the coin's reverse carried the 1989 design traits, confirming it as a transitional die pairing. But what made this specimen even more jaw-dropping was its metallic composition. It wasn't struck on the expected copper-plated zinc planchet, but rather on a leftover copper planchet weighing 3.1 grams, the type used prior to 1983. This discovery meant that somehow, years after the mint officially stopped producing copper cents, a stray copper blank had found its way into the presses, resulting in an extremely rare off-metal strike. Add to that the die doubling on the obverse and the transitional reverse design, and you have a coin that already checks 3 of the most desirable rarity boxes in numismatics. But the mystery deepens further, because this particular coin also shows signs of a partial collar strike, meaning the coin was not perfectly seated in the collar when it was struck, causing part of the rim to flare outward slightly and creating a distinctive railroad rim effect that collectors find incredibly fascinating. This type of strike error visually demonstrates how the coin was slightly misaligned during minting, and when combined with the other abnormalities, it turns the coin into an absolute anomaly that should not exist. Adding to its uniqueness, microscopic analysis revealed fine die cracks running across the coin's surface, especially from Lincoln's shoulder toward the rim and through parts of the memorial steps on the reverse, as if the dies were near the end of their lifespan and beginning to fracture. These natural imperfections in the minting process left raised lines across the coin, which not only give it character but also increase its desirability, since die cracks often accompany coins struck during moments of mechanical instability in the press, moments that sometimes produce legendary minting errors. To make matters even more intriguing, the coloration of this coin is unlike any ordinary cent. It exhibits a brilliant reddish gold tone with darker streaks and a glossy sheen, suggesting it might have undergone irregular heating or plating inconsistencies during production, another sign of its chaotic minting conditions. Experts believe that during 1988, the mint was preparing for subtle die design modifications for the following year, and during that transition period, it's entirely possible that dies meant for 1989 were accidentally paired with remaining 1988 obverse dies, and when a leftover copper planchette somehow entered the system, the result was this masterpiece of error, a coin that embodies the perfect storm of numismatic anomalies. When the coin was authenticated and verified by grading agencies, the buzz spread rapidly through the collector community, with some initially skeptical until metallurgical tests confirmed its copper composition and die details. Once authenticated, it quickly became the centerpiece of high-profile auctions, drawing massive attention from private collectors and investors. The initial appraisals already placed it in the multi-million-dollar range due to its combination of errors, but as bidding wars erupted and stories of its uniqueness circulated across the collecting world, the price climbed beyond anything seen for a modern penny, finally reaching a record-breaking $32 million sale, an amount that seemed almost impossible for such a small coin but made perfect sense once you understand the rarity and the psychology of collecting. In the world of numismatics, rarity, condition, and story determine value, and this 1988 1 cent had all three in abundance. It wasn't just rare, it was a historical accident, a tangible piece of minting chaos, and the story behind its discovery and confirmation made it legendary. Collectors were captivated by how a seemingly insignificant coin could carry within it the fingerprints of history, showing how the smallest human or mechanical oversight can create an object of immense fascination and worth. Beyond the financial value, the coin became a symbol of curiosity and perseverance, inspiring countless people to start examining their pocket change, especially 1988 pennies, in hopes of finding another transitional or double die error. Interestingly, while several examples of the 1988 transitional reverse cent have been found and are already valuable on their own, none have ever displayed the same combination of off-metal composition, doubling, and partial color strike as this $32 million specimen, confirming that it is likely unique or at least one of only a handful in existence. What makes this coin's value even more justifiable is its perfect storm of historical timing. The late 1980s marked an era when the mint was modernizing production, phasing out older equipment, and refining designs, which naturally created an environment ripe for transitional errors, yet most of these were caught and melted down before release. Somehow, this one coin slipped through, surviving decades in circulation before being discovered, perhaps sitting unnoticed in a jar or drawer, quietly waiting to be recognized for what it truly was. The discovery also reignited discussions about other transitional and off-metal errors across the Lincoln cent series, such as the 1983 copper cent, the 1982 transitional variety, and the famous 1943 bronze cent, each of which has fetched enormous sums due to similar manufacturing quirks. But what sets the 1988 penny apart is that it represents a new era of error coins, proving that even modern machine precision minting can produce masterpieces of imperfection. The science behind its creation continues to fascinate experts who study its metallurgical properties, die alignment,